All right. All right, welcome. Hey there. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Bloomerang TV. It's a dreary day in Indianapolis, but I'm happy because Susan Axelrod is here to brighten up our morning and our afternoon. Hey there, Susan. How are you?
Good, Stephen. How are you? Great to
Good.
be here.
Yeah, this is fun. Thanks for joining us for this quick chat. Maybe for those folks who don't know you, Susan, and maybe aren't familiar with your work, could you tell us a little bit about the things you do and the projects you're working on?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, thank you for bringing your technology expertise to the nonprofit world. This is so fun. It's a really helpful tool. And of course, I really want to thank Jay Love for bringing Bloomerang to because I really feel, and I wasn't paid to say this, I really feel that it's the exact right way to create the data support that we need in fundraising for building relationships. So I just wanted to say that. Absolutely. I spent my first 16 years in my career as a practitioner working in various arenas in fundraising. I was lucky to get into fundraising my very first job out of college. I got a fundraising certificate in my very first year, and I became certified 7 years later. In that year, I met the great and wonderful Jerry Panis, who everybody in the field knows is the living guru in major gifts and donor relationships. From that moment, I stole his messaging, I stole his methods. Of course, he knows that. And working with organizations to help them create sustainable programs with lifelong loyal donor cores. Now at this point, I'm moving into the field of philanthropy, working more with organizations at a higher level, with impact philanthropy, working with individuals. But the projects that I've been working on recently, in part, have led me to this conversation today. About the nonprofit CEO, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, leadership, right? I mean, leadership is something that you work on. You work with a lot of nonprofits, helping out their leadership. And we had a kind of a fun telephone conversation yesterday. We were talking about, the role of the nonprofit CEO or the president or ED, the person at the top. And you work with a lot of those folks. What do you see as kind of the myths surrounding that position? A lot of people have different definitions on what that person should be doing and what that person's background should be. What are your thoughts on the nonprofit CEO and kind of the myths surrounding that position?
Well, thank you for asking, Stephen. I'm so happy to be able to say this. It is a myth that anyone can be a nonprofit CEO.
Right.
And by that I mean that people who are not trained in business, who are not trained in organizational structure, organizational management, talent, acquisition, as we now call human resources, building a team, people who have been a doctor or a social worker or a teacher, something happens, they find a passion, they want to start a nonprofit, and they become, right away they're the founder, of course, but right away they're the CEO.
Right.
So then I want to stay on topic here. So it is a myth that anyone can be a nonprofit CEO. So that's number one. It is a myth that you don't need to have a business plan as a nonprofit CEO.
Right.
I really feel I have to say that because people who start out these organizations, these wonderful, great, well-meaning people, don't have a plan. And then they get in there and they may bring good people around them. And then there's something that happens where they don't listen to the good people they brought around them. And that has to do with a tiny little bit of ego, but it's really not as just ego. It's really discomfort because they're not trained.
Yeah.
It is also a myth that everybody will support my cause because it's so passionate and so important to me.
Right.
It is a myth. Everybody won't. And the work is to find the people who care the most about your cause. So those are a couple of the myths.
Sometimes that founder can be a good CEO, but sometimes it's they're more that vision person, and they really need someone boots on the ground to run the organization.
That's right. Telling the story, and of course, there are good founder, CEO
Oh, yeah.
experience and, organizational structure and management and sustainability. The founder who knows that they don't have that exact strength, I want them to stay the founder and stay the visionary and stay the storyteller.
Yeah.
And hire the ops person, a COO, for example, or whatever they may become, the chairman, hire a CEO, whatever it is, to manage the structure of the organization they've created.
Yeah, I think that's really wise. Now, you've got a nonprofit CEO. Fundraising is usually a task that falls to that person. Certainly it falls to everyone in the organization, but why is it important, or do you believe that CEO should, you use the term be a fundraising machine? How can a CEO do that? What are some things that can help a CEO become a better fundraiser?
Okay, so first, Jerry Panis says that the single most important reason people give is because of their passion for the mission.
Yep.
And then under that, one or two reasons later, the second or third reason is respect for the leadership, the CEO and the leadership of the organization. That's a fact.
Wow.
And we see this, the disappointment and, when something goes wrong,
Right.
at the head of an organization. So there is an art and a science to fundraising. And it's all about creating authentic, sustainable, synergistic relationships with donors. And that's the skill that I want to bring to the CEO. Also, this is the most important thing. The CEO it flows down from the CEO.
Right.
It flows down. I'm sure you're aware, maybe you'll do a show on this, in our world, in professional fundraising, we have a pretty short tenure in organizations. Penelope Burke just did a great book on this, donor-centered leadership, and we're still at like an 18-month tenure. Part of the reason for that is because of the CEO who doesn't get it, Stephen.
Right. They don't stick around. Yeah, there's a lot of responsibilities for the CEO. I mean, what's the secret? It seems like there are people who are born to be fundraisers, but it can be learned, right? I mean, a CEO can learn how to be a good fundraiser and do all the things you talked about. What's the secret to that?
Okay, here's the secret. This is so great. I love this. I discovered this by accident through somebody asking me to do this, and now I've done it a few times. The secret is for the CEO or a board, if they get it, to hire a personal fundraising coach for the CEO. Why? CEOs can go to trainings, and that's good. There's fabulous trainings, all over the place. And especially if they bring their staff, with them.
Yeah.
Jerry's group if the development person comes, and by the way, I don't work for Jerry. I don't get paid for any of this. I just believe in his work. He lets the executive director come for free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But the CEO, just like you just said, has to manage the whole operation. They have to manage, if it's a one-person or a five-person staff, they manage everything. And the work of fundraising, as you know, because Bloomerang is helping us, helping to support this, is about the micro detail attention.
Yep.
And creating authentic relationships with people who care and who you want to give the opportunity to support the organization. If you hire a personal fundraising coach for a CEO, just like your coach in your sports teams, after you go in your practice, your regular commitment, the person's going to come to the office or Skype right into the office. There's going to be a designated time, a few times a week, once a month, whatever you decide. And they have to, of course, you have to have somebody with a proven track record.
Yep.
Then they're really going to get the passion and learn the formula and the strategies to make it happen. And I think that's a big secret that we want to share with people.
Is that something that doesn't happen very often? Is that something that hasn't?
Totally not.
Wow.
Totally not. I feel like I'm the smartest person in the world. But no, I think that for a couple of reasons, somebody who is already a CEO, well, first of all, they're supposed to know things, right?
Yeah.
Right? They're a CEO. They're supposed to know things. Secondly, there are some fundraising coaches out there, and there's plenty of good ones, but they're not prolific yet. And third, the CEO is doing so many things and already, well, for certain size organization, has limited resources. So what are they going to use their resources on? Are they going to use them on program?
Right.
And staff? What are they going to use it on? Well, here's what I want to say, Stephen. If they don't use it on fundraising to create a sustainable platform for their organization, the organization is not going to exist.
Right.
I just want to say quickly, I just worked with an organizer in my office recently to go through all of my files and piles and things. And believe me when I say I was looking back over 29 years worth of work. And I said to the person, I cannot believe the number of organizations I've worked with over the years that are no longer in existence when I was a practitioner or whatever.
Yeah, it's sad. You know, you talk about building authentic relationships. That's something that the CEO should be, you know, focused on primarily. What are some ways to do that? Is it having one-on-one meetings with donors and major donors? Is it picking up the phone? Is it writing handwritten notes? You know, what's that actually look like, boots on the ground?
Okay, yes.
All those things.
All those things. So we do have to be realistic. You know, we do have to be realistic. And what I want is for the development person to support this, or the CEO to understand that they really do have to work top down. They don't have all the time in the world. And the truth is they need the money. And so, yes, the big volume at the bottom of the triangle, those are important. But we do want to keep the CEO's time and attention and energy geared towards the people who have the highest capability and highest inclination.
Okay.
So first of all, I want to say, look for them.
Yep.
Okay. And secondly, how do you connect with them? Let's see. I don't know. I was watching I don't know if it was one of your TV podcasts or something else I was watching, talking about, what's her name? Talking about the stories.
Vanessa, yeah.
Yeah, you did. She talked about the donor relationships and how important that is. And when I use the word authentic, I want it to be an authentic connection with the donor. What do they care about?
Right.
And then there'll be a good giving opportunity for them to connect with us. And that's really what it's about. The authenticity is that I really care about you as a donor.
Yep.
And what do you really want to support? And then making all those connections. You can pick up the phone, you can text them, you can email them, you can, invite them for a one-on-one. I love the small group setting. I love having a donor invite others to meet with the CEO of the organization, because everybody doesn't get to do that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You can leverage the CEO's position for that. And I love the advice on having them concentrate on major gifts. I mean, it makes sense. Honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we've got about 2 minutes left, and I know I want to give you some time to talk about what you're doing, but maybe as a last question, if you could have one piece of advice to a brand new CEO, so someone who's just started the organization, what is your one piece of advice you would give that person?
Okay. Can I say that it's one piece of advice about fundraising?
Yes.
Okay, because I work with nonprofit CEOs from the entire organizational structure, building the board, et cetera, et cetera. So let's contain this a little bit and say the one piece of advice that I would give a new CEO starting out in fundraising. Honestly, I have to say it's learn the craft. Don't think that you know the craft. There is a craft. And the industry of 30,000 professionals and numerous organizations, and commit to the authentic relationship with your donor. And by the way, the other thing is run a good, strong, fiscally prudent organization. But that's another topic for another day. But that's what I would say.
That's good. So the CEO's job is pretty easy. They don't have too much to do, is what I'm hearing.
No problem.
No big deal.
No problem.
Well, good. This was a lot of fun. Great advice. As always, I'm not surprised to hear great advice from you at all. We've got about a minute left. Why don't you tell folks where they can find out more about you, maybe where they can find you online?
Yep, good. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it. My website is called What Will Your Legacy Be? My work, working from the practitioner through the consulting, I teach, I train, and my work is evolving into what I call the world of philanthropy now. I have a workshop that I'm doing locally called Bringing Philanthropy into Your Life. My work is to help people figure out what matters to them deeply, deeply inside, and then support what matters to you deeply. Don't just engage in responsive philanthropy. So that's really where I'm going. I do actually have high-level clients. It's kind of secret. A lot of people don't want to know that they're working with a fundraising coach. So I am available to do that. College deans are another group that I'm sort of targeting, because college deans who want to become presidents have to know how to ask for the $1 million gift.
Yeah, sure.
So as we can show people from this podcast, you can Skype from anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
So I'm available, and I'll look forward to hearing from people.
Yeah, we'll share your information on the blog. Susan, thanks so much for joining us. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate it.
And thanks to everyone for watching. We'll catch you next time.